With that, we're basically reaching the end of the day. We have one final bit. If my, um, if you'll just bear with me 1 second. Awesome. So I hope you saw exactly why we do this day and in the way that we do it. I hope you took something away from every single one of our community members and our speakers today. Um, Honestly, I cannot say thank you enough to each of them for sharing their insights and their lessons learned with all of you. I hope you got inspiration from them, and I also hope you saw the ethos of what we're trying to do. Like, I hope you saw that these aren't just meant to be case studies; they are meant to be something that inspires, and they are meant to be something that you can learn from. And people are authentically sharing mistakes, so to speak, or lessons learned along the way, because that's ultimately what helps all of us get to the end result that we all want much faster. Now, an initiative we added on this year was the Morta Hackathon. We treated it like a trial. What we aim to do with the hackathon is really to build something that's bigger than us, as we do with the community, generally speaking. We wanted to challenge people to build the digital future for some of the biggest challenges that they had. We wanted to connect teams, tech vendors, clients, and communities of practice. We wanted to demonstrate what collaborative solutions could look like for the industry challenges. And um, really, what we did was we ran a hackathon as a result, and we set some challenges. And the goal of all of this was to help people develop their own skills on Morta and to gamify exploring using the platform. We wanted to bring visibility to a lot of this. We wanted some hands-on problem solving, and we wanted people to start contributing to industry challenges and to showcase that with many of the with the wider community within the industry. So what we then did was we came up with challenge areas. We came up with 5 challenge areas: information management, asset management and handover, design and health and safety, sustainability and AI and automation. Interestingly, when we got the responses to the challenges back, we mainly got them in 3 categories, which ended up being asset management and handover, which I would argue was the most popular, information management, and AI and automation. And as a result, what we decided to then do was combine asset management and handover and information management into one challenge area. And really, the goal became, how can we use information better in order to respond to some of the bigger challenges within the industry? The second category ended up being AI and automation. So it's, how do we actually look at using AI in order to further automate processes that are currently happening within the platform? And it hits on a lot of what we've already heard from many of our community members with regards to extending the platform's capability in order to add even more value. We had we had 8 amazing entries for the hackathon. We had them from a range of organizations and companies and teams. Some obviously were speakers today. Some had spoken in our previous community days, and some are new to our community. And I think that's been really exciting. I know there are many of you that wanted to join, but like the timelines didn't allow, so to speak. So we're taking a lot of this feedback on board to make it something even better and more useful next year. But for me, the quality of the applications that were received from the 8 applications that were received was amazing. To have people on this caliber spend time and respond to the challenges, that was absolutely amazing. So it was really, really cool to see what people came up with. And that was definitely shared with the judges, which as feedback by the judges, which I'll go on to in a second. When it came to information management, we had 5. We grouped them into 5 different entries. The first was automated planning, master information delivery planning, and progress monitoring. The challenge entry was from Mott MacDonald, who were Samuel Saw and James Holland. They really wanted to deal with the challenge that you had certain deliverables that had to be created multiple times across multiple stages within large programs. And they found that having one single table doesn't work, and they needed to split things up into 2 different tables. And they used a combination of a table for document number generation, effectively, and a second table where they flatten the data across the different stages. And because we currently don't have a way of exploding the data between 2 different tables, they used FME in order to do that. And that really helps drive using the platform for progress monitoring. The second was BIM to Smart Buildings from SES Engineering Services. You heard from them earlier. They didn't talk about their hackathon entry, but really what they wanted, what they noticed was BIM data is disconnected from BMS data, and they wanted an automated workflow based on open standards to transform this data and to link it into a building management systems data. And that was the second entry. The third was a variation of information delivery planning and tracking. Really what that stood out in this entry was the connection between client requirements, IDPs, and CDE data, and how holistic the implementation was in order to move away from fragmented data across different disciplines as a multidisciplinary design firm. XD House was looking to solve a similar challenge to what Cassia was also speaking about earlier, but it's the dependency between what they have to generate as a task team and the external members and what they have to do. And they used syncing ACC data into Morta in order to auto-populate an MIDP and ensure coordination with other disciplines. And then finally, we had the ALEC team, who actually submitted 2 different entries. The first was on automating asset and handover information production. What they really did was link Revit data into Morta, as well as the AIR, creating a single source of truth for asset data, with the goal of making it easier to produce that information and driving the cost of that down. When it came to artificial intelligence and automation, we had 3 different entries. The first was automated COBie contact data enrichment, where they used Perplexity to get and scrape data off the web in order to populate contact databases, so that they don't have to manually enrich COBie contact data manually on a project by project basis. And it was a great example of bringing together things like Fabric, Perplexity, and Power Automate. ALEC linked Morta to Claude and Claude's MCP servers in order to analyze the data that's within Morta and interrogate it for comparisons between each other, which was again another great example of bringing together data from different data sets and then using that to interrogate data. And then we had Morero, that's actually a tech company that decided to leverage AI and LLMs in order to automate the generation of pre-construction information and the risks associated with a project off the back of inputting the characteristics of the project. We'll be sharing a lot more details about these entries in due course. What we've decided to do is for every single one of these entries, we're going to spend at least 2 days with them on supporting them on developing their entries further. If there are any associated licenses that are needed for testing, if the team doesn't have them, we're happy to provide that for further testing. And then we're offering an ROI and value assessment consultation with an expert from value4data.ai. With that, I'm going to announce the hackathon winners shortly. Each of the winners is going to get 5 days of our support. Again, we're going to offer the licenses, and we're going to be providing a one-day workshop with our partners at value4data.ai to again help in the storytelling and in calculating ROI of all of this. I want to thank our judges. It's honestly amazing to me the fact that we had this caliber of judges who were willing to take a punt at my random and crazy idea of getting people to respond to these challenges. We had a mix of standards authors, client representatives, leaders of communities of practice, and honestly, and tech vendors, and some of the biggest tech vendors all come in on this, and it's been such a pleasure to see them, and I really, really appreciate them for doing this. Now, on to the next bit. In terms of the AI entry, I'm really, really glad to say that RLB Digital with the Kobe Contact use case ended up being the ones that took the win for enriching data. I think it sets precedent for data enrichment broadly. And then when it comes to asset management and handover and information management, we had the SES team actually get the win. I was really, really glad to see, generally speaking, that the feedback that we got from all of the judges for all of the entries, but specifically for these entries, for how useful they could be and the precedent that they could set for the industry. So we really appreciate everyone who's taken up a punt in many ways, who's invested the time, and who's been part of this community. Thank you all for being with us today. Thank you so much for trusting us. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for spending the time with us today. Thanks to the team as well. Many of them got mentioned today. Really, really appreciate the trust that everyone has placed on us. And I hope that both the community day itself, as well as the hackathon and all of the initiatives we're doing, are just examples of what collaboration can bring for the industry. And thank you all. Thanks for engaging today. It's just another example of what we can do as a collective community together. I always say, like, people took many people actually, like in my head, like risked their careers by initially starting to work with us when we were small. And like, we take that really, really seriously. And it's just, when I look back at 7 years of doing this and look back at where we are, having people of this caliber and this community around us is really what gives us the foundation that we need to take this all to the next level. And I cannot be more excited for what the next few years will bring and what we'll be able to build on together. Thank you all so much. Thanks for trusting us, and have a good day.